Addressing the United Nations today, President Zelensky accused Moscow of war crimes, saying the UN is proving ineffective in stopping the violence because Russia is abusing its veto on the Security Council, preventing international action. Showing a short but gruesome video alleging civilians were being shot in the streets, he called for Russia to be excluded from the Council. The Kremlin denies its forces have committed war crimes. Our next report is from our North America editor Sarah Smith, and it does contain some of those disturbing images.
Horrific images of dead civilians lying in the streets of Bucha shocked the world. But Russia claims the scenes have been staged. Analysis of satellite imagery taken in mid-March shows bodies lying in the precise positions corpses were later found, proving they were killed when Russian forces controlled the area. Ukrainian President Zelensky told the UN Security Council the most terrible war crimes since World War II are being committed in Ukraine, saying what's being revealed in Bucha is also happening elsewhere.
The
massacre in our city of Bucha is only one, unfortunately only one, of many examples of what the occupiers have been doing on our land for the past 41 days. There are many more cities, similar places, where the world has yet to learn the full truth.
He lambasted the Security Council for failing to guarantee the security of Ukraine and showed an extremely graphic video of dead civilians in several Ukrainian towns, which visibly shocked the Council.
We are appalled by what we have seen and reiterate our solidarity with Ukraine.
The US wants Russia to be removed from the UN Human Rights Council in response to human rights abuses in Ukraine.
Reports indicate that Russian federal security agents are confiscating passports and IDs, taking away cell phones, and separating families from one another. I do not need to spell out what these so-called filtration camps are reminiscent of. It's chilling.
Russia denies that its forces have killed civilians, calling the pictures of dead bodies fake news.
During the time that the town was under the control of Russian armed forces, not a single civilian suffered from any kind of violence.
That impassioned plea from President Zelensky to the UN, along with harrowing accounts coming out of Ukraine, are piling pressure on world leaders to respond. Further sanctions are expected to be announced tomorrow, and the US has committed to hold the Russian leadership accountable for war crimes, but with no explanation as to how or when that might happen. The UN needs to act immediately, President Zelensky demanded. If it can't do anything beyond talking about the war in Ukraine, he told them, then it might as well close down. Sarah Smith, BBC News, Washington.
OK, let's go to Moscow and talk to our Russia editor, Steve Rosenberg, who's there. Steve, are people where you are seeing the images of these alleged war crimes that the whole of the rest of the world is seeing?
Well, Russian TV has been showing graphic video from Bucha of bodies scattered along a road. But because the Kremlin controls completely television here, it controls the messaging, and it's been using these images to paint a very different picture for the Russian public. So, for example, when I watched the main political talk show today on Russian state TV, it did run the Bucha pictures, but with the word fake in big red letters plastered across the screen to try and convince the viewers that these claims of Russian war crimes were simply an invention, in the same way that the Kremlin uses television to try to persuade Russians that there is no war going on in Ukraine, it's simply a special military operation, and that Russia is not the aggressor, it's acting in self-defense. Now, do Russians have access to alternative views, to alternative sources of information? Well, that's becoming harder and harder, because virtually all independent Russian news sources, news outlets now, have either been shut down or blocked. It is the Kremlin that dominates the information space in Russia today.
OK, Steve, thank you. Steve Rosenberg there, live in Moscow.